The first thing I want to do is wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're doing something fun. If you're home alone, do something for yourself. Enjoy the peace and the tranquility. And if you're hurting, I'm so sorry. And all I can say is this is just one day. It's Thanksgiving. If it's awkward with your ex or you're missing your kids, I'm so sorry. I've been there. It's not fun, but I promise you, the decision on whether or not you're going to have a good day today is totally up to you. You can make it a great day, whatever you're doing. And that means if you're sitting home by yourself, just enjoy the peace and tranquility and know that next year will be different. My guest today is Anne Gabel. Anne is the co-owner of MJ Gabel, the place where I sold my wedding rings 11 years ago. And Anne, the reason I wanted to introduce you so quickly is because I wanted to see if you agree with me about the Thanksgiving Day thing. There's a lot of people that might be listening to this sitting home and thinking, oh, this is awful. Tell them why they shouldn't feel that way. Well, no, I shouldn't say not you have a right to feel however you want, but
Sure.
inspire me and them.
I think that I think that there's space for people to feel what they're feeling and then try and pivot and make a conscious decision to make the day better than what it is feeling like it is. I don't think that people have to sit in one emotion all day. I think you can move through it in a way that works for you and try and, focus on being thankful, as kind of silly as that sounds in some ways, but thankful for the things that you have to be thankful for.
Yeah, just try to put it in perspective.
Mhm.
It's only one day. You can
Yep,
binge watch Sex in the City all day
that's
if
right.
that's what you feel like doing.
That's
You
right. And it's
can bake,
temporary.
right. You can bake cookies. You can clean out a closet. You can read a good book. You can pour yourself a glass of wine or make yourself a cup of tea or cocoa and just really feel like um grateful for the things that you do have and know that next year is going to be so different.
Mhm.
The whole picture will look different.
I agree.
All right, let's get into what I want to talk about. Now, I want to tell my listeners that Anne has a lot of experience with divorce because Anne buys back rings from people. So, Anne, you've heard all of these stories, and that's why I wanted you to comment on this because I'm sure that you can relate to all the women who and men who have reached out, and you've heard those things too. But today, Anne and I are going to talk about selling your ring, specifically give you information to help you make a decision of when to sell it, how to sell it, why to sell it. Don't sell it too soon. Don't wait too long. You can come to all these conclusions on your own. The first question I have for you, Anne, is in a divorce, who gets the ring by law? Like, do you have to give it back?
So there's a difference or a distinction that I just want to make because the rules and laws are different between engagements, broken engagements, and actual divorces. And everything comes down to your state law. So states have different rules and laws regarding rings, jewelry in general, too. Because remember, a lot of times it's not just the engagement ring or the wedding set or whatever. There probably, if you were married for a long time, there potentially were a lot of gifts,
Mhm.
given throughout that
Jewelry
time.
gifts, you
Jewelry
mean?
gifts, right.
Mhm.
Um, Most states recognize the engagement and wedding ring as marital property that usually goes to the woman. However, a lot of times it depends on fault. So there's this thing about, right, no fault divorce versus fault divorce, and that plays a big role in how a lot of assets can be divided up. And so the ring can be included in that. I do know, for example, that Massachusetts um, just had a ruling on this. This was an engagement scenario. Um, and in that scenario, they ruled that, fault matters, right? So if you cheat on your significant other, and the engagement is broken, you necessarily can't just keep the ring. You know, it broke, the engagement
Oh,
dissolved because you did something to dissolve that contract, right? So the engagement ring is considered a contract. Like you are agreeing to accept this gift in the event that you're going to get married. If that doesn't happen, you know, because sometimes rings, this, for example, I believe was a, you know, had a retail price tag of $70,000. So a lot of times engagement rings aren't, you know, small dollar amounts. You know, we can be talking about large dollars here. So it matters, but what I would always say is consult your attorney, you know, or reach
okay.
out to your
So
attorney
I
to find
also
out.
think great advice. I also think you can just go on and Google what is the law. Let's say
Yes.
you live in Illinois. What is the law in Illinois for engagement rings? What is the law in
Mhm.
Illinois for wedding rings? And that'll give you a good idea. This way you don't have to spend money on getting a
Correct. You
consult
can at
from
least
an
get a,
attorney.
right. Can at least
Mhm.
get a starting point if your situation maybe is a little bit more sticky or not as clear, you know, then maybe it would be important to get some legal advice. But right, you can get basic information just with a quick Google search.
All right. So from what it sounds like, you're telling me an engagement ring, both by law in some states and really like, okay, should I do the right thing and give the ring back? Usually you're supposed to give the ring back. But if it's a marriage, in most states, if you're the woman, you probably are going to end up being rewarded the ring.
Correct. Yep, you're probably gonna
Sometimes
end
it
up.
doesn't
Yeah.
even come up.
Correct. A lot of times it doesn't. Usually where I find it comes up is if it was a very expensive piece of jewelry. You know,
Correct.
if we're talking, you know, 50, $60,000, you know, most people aren't just going to walk away from that, you know? Um,
Yes.
so it all depends, but a lot of
You
times in
know, and
marriages,
even if
yeah.
it was 10,000,
Hmm.
divorce is such a time where people are insecure about money and you feel like you need money. Even to say, okay, we're going to split it, $5,000 is a big deal for some people at this
100%.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right, Jackie. M- I would say engagement rings and wedding sets come up less in divorces, I find, than in engagements. It becomes more of a sticky question, you know, if the marriage actually does not take place. So in some regards, it might be easier, you know, to figure it out if you've been married than if you had been engaged.
You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. I'm here today with Anne Gabel of MJ Gabel, the company that buys back wedding rings and other jewelry, the company I use to sell my wedding rings to. Anne and I are talking about who gets the ring in a divorce. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about what you can do with your ring if you don't know what to do with it, when the right time might be to sell it, and then we're going to get to what 34 women did with the money they got from their wedding rings. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. I want to say happy Thanksgiving. I'm wishing you health. I'm wishing you happiness. I'm wishing you all good, wonderful things. And today I'm here with Anne Gabel of MJ Gabel. Anne is the person, Anne and her husband Matt are the people that I sold my wedding rings to in 2011, if you can believe that. They were just starting out, I believe. Now they have all these other options, even. Now, I had a great experience with MJ Gabel, but basically at that time, tell me, Anne, if I'm right, you were only just buying back rings for cash.
Correct.
Now you can consign your ring on an
Mhm.
auction, or you can still get cash if you want,
Yes.
or you can, well, we're going to get into all of your options that MJ Gable now offers. So 10 years later, is it more than 10 years? It's more than 10 years, like
More
14
than 10
years
years.
later,
Mhm. Yeah, we're coming up on
they
15. Yeah.
they are doing great, better than ever, and I really trust them. So if you're looking to part with your rings, please get in touch with MJ Gable, mjgable.com, or you can call them. And what I love about MJ Gable is you're not just doing it online and it's very personal. You can call and talk to Matt and Ann about your situation. Okay, so Ann, if Wait, I'm sorry, we can edit that out. What were we talking about? What's the next thing we want to get to? Okay, so I Googled today before this podcast because I wanted to see what would come up. What should I do with my wedding rings after divorce? And AI had these options. One, sell it. Two, repurpose your diamond. Three, donate it. Four, pass it down to your children. Five, return the ring to your ex. Six, repurpose it. Oh, that's the same thing, but
It's a
maybe
duplicate.
repurpose the whole ring versus just the diamond. And then the next one was wear it on a necklace. Hold on, there's seven more. Keep it, sell it to a local jewelry store, pawn it, and then make it into something else, which is the same as repurpose. Okay, let's go over these, Anne. So, which one stood out to you?
So the one that stands out the most to me that most people don't do is repurposing it.
Okay, so why do you think people don't want to repurpose it?
They don't want, generally speaking, they don't want that association with their ex, even if it's a new piece of jewelry for themselves. I always offer it to people as an option. Like, the diamond's already been bought and paid for. If you want, we can do something else with it. We can make a necklace, we can make another ring for you. We can find a match to make a pair of studs. I, I have only ever had someone want to repurpose it once, and that wasn't a divorce situation. It was a death, unfortunately. Um, but I have had a lot of different reasons why they don't want to, and the most common is they just don't want the association with it anymore, regardless of the diamond.
I can completely understand that. Even if
Hmm.
the divorce was amicable, I
Yes.
don't know. Do you really want to wear something close to your heart or on your wrist that like was your wedding? If you're trying to move forward, I would
Yes.
think. Now, a death is definitely different. You
Death
can
is
still
different.
love your
Yes.
husband or wife who
Mhm.
died and want to carry that with you, and you can still find love and move on, I
Of
believe.
course. Yes.
Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is donating it. So we're about to enter the holiday season. Now, I think by donating it, they mean sell it to someone like Ann and Matt and then donate the money.
I would hope so. Yeah, you don't want to just drop something like this off at the Goodwill or, at a
Right.
donation place, the Salvation Army, because they're just not going to be equipped to know what to do with it. So, right, if you're going to donate it, you want to sell it and then take the proceeds and donate the proceeds.
And what a beautiful option
Hmm.
if, you feel that's the right thing for you because it's the holiday season, you're giving back and great tax write-off too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's a good option if that's
Hmm.
the way you want to go. Okay. Next thing is, let's see, pawn it. I'm going to combine these two. Why is pawning it and or selling it to a local jewelry store not a good idea?
Sure. So pawning it is essentially taking a loan against the ring for sometimes a quarter of the value of the piece. So you don't want to do that because what you're doing is you're taking significantly less than what the value of the piece is. If a pawn shop offers, goes true for a cash for gold place as well. They again are just not equipped and have the knowledge base to correctly grade the diamond, identify its value, and give you an accurate market price for it. They just don't have the knowledge to do that. So you're going to end up taking significantly less for it than you could from another place. The same is going to be true for most local jewelry stores. Now, sometimes this isn't always the case. Sometimes a jewelry store will actually give you a fair price for it because they're going to just put it in their case and resell it. But what we have found is 9 times out of 10, because local jewelry stores are just doing that, they're again limited in the price point that they can give you because they need to maximize, the amount that they get back on the piece, if they're going to buy it for their inventory. And again, a lot of jewelry stores don't employ gemologists. Anybody can open a jewelry store and sell jewelry out of it. It doesn't mean again that you have the knowledge base to correctly grade and identify the diamonds and then associate a value to them.
Okay, so I want to let my listeners know that one of my really, really, really close friends owns a jewelry store and she's a gemologist.
Hmm.
Before I met you, Anne, I actually took it into her store, of course.
Hmm.
And she said to me, look, I can help you out, but I can't give you as much as if you go to a specialist. So she was
Yeah.
like, don't do it through me.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was really good. Even my one of my best friends was like,
Yeah.
don't do it.
And
And
that's
that's
that's the truth, right? And she gave you good advice.
mhm. Okay, next option, return the ring to your ex. Now, I'm kind of laughing when I say this because I bet there's people listening that want to throw their ring at their ex and go like,
Sure.
you know what?
Good riddance.
F
Yeah.
you, you can
Hmm.
have it, but please think before you do that. At least get it valued,
Yes.
get it appraised so you know how
Appraised.
much you're
Yes.
throwing. If it's
Yes.
worth a couple $100 and you want to do that, okay, but if you appraise it and you find out it's worth even 2,000, why would you do that?
Why would
Don't
you do
let your
that?
anger
Yes.
rule you.
Yes. I stopped my sister-in-law from throwing hers in the river because she just was so angry and just wanted to be done with it. And this is, our sister-in-law.
And
You
that's
know,
really understandable.
absolutely. Again, I've
Okay,
talked about this before. They're very small pieces of jewelry, but they carry a ton of emotional attachment.
absolutely. Now, I want to get into I want to list one more thing that's not on this Google list of AI that I think is a really smart thing for me to bring up, especially right now. So the market has hit like 44,000. And if somebody has a wedding ring that has been sitting in your drawer for 4 years, you could have been earning over 10% per year if it was in the market. If you sold the ring and then put the money into the
Yeah.
market. Now, what I don't want to make you feel badly about that if you're listening to this, but I'm saying it's never too late. So if it's
Hmm.
sitting in a drawer, and you don't even care about it, you just don't even know why it isn't sold, you could sell your ring to Anne. You could take the money, open up even, any kind of investment
Anything.
account,
A CD, anything.
anything, and you
Hmm.
will have free money and you'll look at the thing in 5 years and you'll have like
Sure.
20% more and be like, wow, this is great. So
Hmm.
I thought I would bring that up.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jackie.
Okay, now, Anne, tell my listeners what these options are if somebody wants to work with MJ Gable. Well, first, let me tell my listeners what I did with MJ
Sure.
Gable, and you can
Sure.
tell me all the choices now. So I found Anne and Matt, I believe, online. I can't remember. I don't remember anybody
You
introducing
must
us.
have. Yeah.
So I really took a chance, and I'm so glad I did. But they sent me a FedEx envelope that was insured for so much more than the ring was worth. What's the insurance you take out, Anne?
So we can insure packages up to $100,000. We
Okay.
insure, it based on what you have, but it comes fully insured.
Okay. And you don't have to pay for it. Anne and Matt
Correct.
carry that. Okay. So you take your ring, you put it in like a safe box bag, you put it in this envelope that Anne and Matt send you. It's already addressed to them. You drop it off. You don't have to do anything. And I want to tell you this because I did it without even knowing them. How did I know they weren't just going to take it? But I just knew. But now that you have my endorsement, they are extremely trustworthy. They'll look at the ring, they'll make you an offer. If you don't want to take the offer, they'll send you the ring back. And this goes for other pieces of jewelry too, not just your
Yes.
engagement ring.
Hmm.
If you like it, you will have a electronic deposit. With me, it was a check because it was
Hmm.
2011. We didn't do that yet.
Nope, we can do ACH now. Yep.
Yep. And so that's it. That's the
Yeah.
whole process. You can also call and talk to Matt and Ann and say, like, hey, what do you think? I thought it was going to be worth a little more. Why isn't it? And they'll
Yeah.
explain it to you, which I love that. It's so personalized. So, Anne, tell me now what the other options are that weren't available when I was selling my ring.
Sure. So we can also consign your jewelry. And what that looks like is we take over the selling process for you. So we professionally polish and clean. We do any repair work that needs to be done, photograph it, and list it for sale. We can broker your piece. So if it's something that is a little bit more collectible, is a signed piece perhaps. And again, this goes for all jewelry. So we're also talking about necklaces, bracelets, earrings, things like that. We can broker your piece, which may look like selling it to a gallery or, another colleague of ours overseas. There's, lots of different outlets that we use for that. And then we can also auction your pieces. Our auctions are blind, so it's not an incremental bidding system in which you have to set a reserve. We get the highest bid that has been received on your piece. We present it to you, and then you can either accept or decline the offer. So you're not under any obligation to sell. And I want to, state that across the board. So in no scenario are you just handing us your goods and then just accepting whatever piece, whatever dollar amount comes out. Um, Quick story, we just had a customer or a client of ours. They were in need of some money very quickly. They got a very high offer from a competitor of ours. I don't know, Jackie, if I'm allowed to say names or not, but another competitor of ours saying that they could get, I'm going to just give you the numbers, $11,000. We thought we could get them nine for it. And so we said straight out, that's a great offer. You should pursue that. The competitor got the ring, they put it on their auction platform, and they actually lowered the price once they received it. They thought, well, we can get you between 8 and 9. So the offer, for the range went down from 11 to now 8 to 9,000. And then the highest bid ended up being significantly lower than 8,000. And after their fees, this client ended up walking away with about $6,000 on a ring that
Wow.
we could have easily given her nine. But she was in a position where she had wasted all this time, and had to take that lower amount. And it was a really unfortunate situation. So, again, in no scenario do we want you to just accept an offer that we're giving you. So in all of our scenarios, you can either accept or decline anything that comes from us.
Now, Anne and Matt, their store is in upstate New York,
Yes. We're in
in
Webster, New York.
Albany. Oh,
Nope,
Webster.
we're outside of Rochester. So we're between Buffalo and Syracuse. So we're on the shore of Lake Ontario.
So if you live in that area, you can actually
Yes,
go in and meet them in person.
absolutely.
But
Yep.
also, what I wanted to ask you is how somebody decides to sell their ring, whatever process it is. Depends on if you need the money right away. Like if you're
Yes.
willing to wait, it's better to do an auction or a
Or
consignment,
consignment.
correct?
Yes, if you have time, so time and money, time and dollars have to work out. So the higher the price, the longer it's going to take. So if you have more time, the higher dollar amount we're going to be able to yield you without a question. Um, the quicker you need to sell it, yes, that's going to drive the price down a little bit just because our options are fewer.
How much time are we talking?
It depends on the piece. Some pieces I sell within a week, some pieces take longer than that. I've had, $100,000 rings sit with me for about a year, before we find a new home for them. But that's because not everybody's in the market to spend, $120,000 on a
What if
piece of
my
jewelry.
ring was 15,000?
So 15,000 is probably going to take, I would say on average, a few months, somewhere between 2 and 4.
So if you can wait a few months, that sounds like the better
Hmm.
option. Although if
Definitely.
you just feel like you want to get rid of it, or,
Hmm.
today's Thanksgiving Day, if you want some shopping money, you can just
Hmm.
sell it now.
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
I love it. Okay, I want to close out this podcast with a couple of things that people did with the money they got from their ring. And I believe on one of our other podcasts, Anne, I read a few of them. So I'm going to
Yeah.
scroll down. I'm going to go from bottom to top
Top.
so
Yeah.
that I don't repeat in case you listen to our last podcast. Okay, one person said that they bought a new car. Someone else said they bought a new set of tires for their car.
Great.
It was in my boyfriend's trunk, truck. The truck was stolen. They found the truck, but not the ring. That sounds a little sus to me.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I gave it to someone in need. It's nice to know it went to something good after so many years of bad. I
Yeah.
love that, but I would disagree and say you should have sold it to Anne and then given the person the
The
money.
money.
Because the
Sure.
person in need might not know where to
Where to
go to
take
get
it.
the maximum amount.
Hmm.
This is kind of sad. I used it to pay my rent. But honestly, Anne, when I sold my ring, it was because I kind of needed some cash at the time. I was
A
not
lot of,
working.
yes. No, a lot
So
of people need to unleash the value that's in those rings. Yeah.
I used it for a retainer for my attorney.
That's a common one.
Really?
Oh, yes. Yep, very common.
I'm getting a new ring made and adding my kids' birthstones as side stones. See,
Okay.
I haven't, I mean, great. If the person's happy, that's awesome, but
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to wear that ring anymore. I pawned it and got $40 and threw it in the and threw the ring part in the
So
garbage.
there you go. That's a perfect example of why that's not a good solution.
Okay, I gave the money to my dad who helped me pay for my divorce attorney. I love
Hmm.
that girl. Um, I saved the money and I still have it. I hope it's in a good brokerage
Yeah.
account. And I traded it in towards the purchase of wedding rings with my new husband. Okay,
So
my
that
question is, why can't the husband buy you your own ring?
so that one we come across a lot too, and it
Wow.
always gives me pause, but
No judgment.
that's right. I mean,
Although we just did. But I'm sorry
mhm,
if people are listening, marry someone who buys you a ring with his own money. That's
yeah.
all I'm going to say. And if you think
Hmm.
I'm judgmental, send me an email and tell me. But I don't think I'm being judgmental. On that note, Anne, thank you so much. I always love talking to you,
Same,
and I
Jackie.
appreciate everything you're doing for men and women going through a divorce to help them
Yes.
sell their jewelry.
Happy to be here anytime and have a chat with you. And happy Thanksgiving to anybody who's listening.
And if the listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So the best way is either directly via email or just pick up the phone and give me a call. So my email address is Anne, ANNE, at mjgable.com. You can also do info@mjgable.com. And my direct phone number is 585-598-1090, and I'm extension 211.
Thank you again, Anne.
Thank
Great
you,
to see
Jackie.
you. And to
Yeah,
my
you as well.
listeners, another one more time, happy Thanksgiving. Be healthy, be happy. Don't worry about it if you're bummed out today. Tomorrow it'll be over and you won't even be thinking about it. And you'll be like, wow, I made it through and it wasn't that bad.
I
And
agree.
if you want to listen to more podcasts, read articles, or find amazing, trusted, vetted divorce professionals, including MJ Gable, you can go to divorcedgirlsmiling.com. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.